What's going on, people, and welcome back to Total Osspurs. First of all, I want to apologise. We have been away for the game, and the preview or the match review has come out a bit late. Having some technical difficulties, unfortunately, but got them all sorted out now, so we're back. And first of all, before we start, make sure you are liking and subscribing to the channel. Make sure you're hitting that notification button down the bottom to get all our future videos and content. And please, guys, we're 11 away from 100 subs. We much appreciate it if you share us around and to your friends, to your family, even if they're not Tottenham fans. The more viewers, the more comments in the comment section helps us out. And we enjoy what we do. But Aston Villa 2, Tottenham 1, and I'm kind of glad we didn't do a watch along because after the first 50 minutes, I was ready to go to bed. Game kicked off at midnight with us and went with the same lineup as we did against Crystal Palace, and it looked nowhere near as good as Crystal Palace. I'll be honest. Fraser Forster, first goal, nothing he could do. Second goal, I felt like he could have done a bit better. He could have gotten across the box a bit quicker for the free kick. However, he made some decent saves, and I think the defence and the midfield let him down once again. Royal had an okay game. I felt like he was probably our best player on the pitch yet again. Romero. He had his off game. He was great against Crystal Palace. I felt like he was very mature, very calculated, intelligent. He was at fault for the 2 goals. I'll be honest. The first goal, he goes down on the edge of the box, slides in when he doesn't need to, which creates the space for them to go wide and then cut it back in for Ramsey to rifle it home. And that was poor from him. And the thing is Ramsey was the one that he tackled, and he didn't track him. And when you finally realised that Ramsey was free in the middle, no one marked him. Felt like we had Dyer in the middle. Didn't know what he was doing. And for the second goal, he caused a free kick on the edge of the box, but I don't think he needed to. I think that he was rash once again. Not saying the whole game he was bad. I do think that he did a couple of good things, but once again, his rash decisions and the fact that he slides in when he doesn't need to really let us down. And I think that's partly why we lost it. Langley wasn't that much better. I don't think anything that Langley did was that great. And Davies was pretty much non-existent on the left. There's not much we can really say about the goalkeeper or the defenders. It's pretty straightforward. And even the midfield, Skip, very, very poor again. Maybe he needs to be taken out. We did mention in the last video that maybe the knock that he got a couple of weeks ago to the head, the split open the head, maybe he is semi-concussed still. Maybe he needs a couple of games or a couple of weeks to kind of get his head right. We're nearly our end of the season. I think 2 games left. So for me, like the way he's playing, and we rag on Højbjerg, and Højbjerg once again was pretty poor. But like Skip was poor, and we need to call it out. We can't just call out Højbjerg and let Skip get a ride, because that's what I see. People rag on Højbjerg, myself included, but there's many people that really don't look at the other midfielder when they're playing bad. And the same thing was when Bentancur had a couple of poor games. I think I called him out, at the start of the season, and it was all on Højbjerg. So I try to be fair, try to be level-headed, and they both were poor. Skip for the first, was the second goal? No, it was actually a couple of shots. It was a couple of shots where I felt like they could have scored, where Skip just gives the ball away, and then instead of actually like getting up and chasing, he tries to look for a free kick, throws his hands in the air, and then when we don't get it, they're already on the edge of our box by the time he gets up off his feet. So Skip needs to be called out. He had a very, very poor game. And then up front, I'm going to say it. How many fucking offsides do we want to give? I know the game plan was because they play a higher line to get in behind, but Romero, Richarlison, and fucking Sonny do not know how to read the line. The amount of goals that we should have had if they timed their run properly we could have been 4 or 5 ahead if they actually got it right. And the thing is Aston Villa were holding their line to perfection, and Son and Richarlison were just always offside. And look, I'm going to be honest, they were getting passes from the likes of Langley and Højbjerg and Skip, and I feel like they're very slow. Those three at looking up. They don't provide the passes. I kind of I kind of juxtapose it to Alderweireld and Ali. Alderweireld knew Ali was making that run, and 9 out of 10 times, actually no, I'd say 95% of the time, Alderweireld would hit one of those balls perfectly timed. Ali wouldn't need to be sprinting. Ali would be jogging on near full pace. I would say running at near full pace, and Alderweireld would time it to perfection, where Ali would always beat the offside trap, always. But Son and Richarlison, especially Richarlison, can't seem to do it, and I do think it's the desperation of trying to score goals to help us win. But I also think it's the lack of creativity and the actual technique to be able to get that ball beyond the defenders, whilst also making sure it's hit at the right time where the players can time their runs. There's plenty of times where I felt like Langley could have hit the ball a couple of times earlier, maybe half a second earlier, and it would have been offside. Same with Højbjerg, same with Skip, and it was poor from the front, but it was also poor from the midfield. And this is why I really want a proper, 1 or 2 centre backs and a good centre mid to centre attacking mid, maybe 1 or 2, because we don't want to just have one. And if he's injured, then we don't have anyone. Maybe promote Alfie Devine and have him as the backup. Maybe that'd be good. That would be what I would do. It was poor from Richarlison and Son and Kane. I mean, he had that perfect chance with the ball dropped to him, and 9 times out of 10 he bangs those. But I think Emi Martinez got in his head, and he tried to fake him by going near post, and Martinez read it, and that should have been a goal by Kane. Once again, he did score his penalty. Everyone's talking about how it looked like a flop. I mean, I think it's just a smart use of the body. Kane knew he was going to get clattered, so he just threw himself into it. For me, it can be classed as a dive, but it's a technical foul that any other striker in the Premier League would do. And the fact that it's Kane is why everyone whinges about it. It's because it's Tottenham. It's because it's Kane. And I want to give a special mention to Kulu. I've been quite harsh on Kulu, especially the turn of the year. He hasn't played very well, but he looked quite sharp coming off the bench. Was creating a lot. Gave that pass to Harry Kane to go on through on goal, and it was a bit deep. I feel like it could have been a bit softer. However, we won the penalty and Kane scored it, so can't really complain too much. But I think he's a special mention. I do think Mason left it a bit too late to make changes. I would have liked to have moved to a midfield 3 if we, take Richarlison off. We took Porro and we brought Perisic on to go forward, but I mean Porro was already on, but we brought Perisic to go forward on the left and replaced him. I think we replaced Sonny with him, and for me, I felt like the midfield was just getting bypassed, like it was nothing, and they were getting a lot of shots on the edge of the box, and they were moving the ball really fast. Højbjerg and Skip can't handle. I know they've played well, but I don't think a midfield 2 is the way to go, especially in this league. Every team plays a midfield 3. And we don't have the defense to be able to allow our wing backs to push forward to create the overlaps and counter, and our midfield aren't good enough. If we had the likes of, Rodri, and even if you had Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne in there, you'd be able to do it, because Rodri would do all the grunt work, would protect the back 3, and then all he has to do is give it to De Bruyne, and De Bruyne is that good that one pass, one look, or he could drop his shoulder and run. Maybe you could get away with it if you had like Dembele in there. Dembele and Skip, or Dembele and Højbjerg, Dembele Bentancur. I do think Basuma needs to have a bit more time. He looked a bit more gung-ho, wanted to move the ball forward. That's what I saw from him at the start of the season, but he was playing in the midfield 2, so I don't like him in midfield 2. I think he's better in the midfield 3, where we can rotate the centre mids going forward and have a defensive midfielder just helping the back. But yeah, it was a shit game. I mean, I'm not even that angry. I think I was more embarrassed to see that other teams around us are winning, and Brighton, we'll get onto the Brighton Arsenal game because we can all be smiling about that. It's the only thing us Tottenham fans can be smiling about. But I mean, 2 games left, end of the season. I think we're going to get conference at best. If we're not lucky, we'll drop down to 9th, 8th, 9th. And I mean, I think we're good enough to win the conference. I don't think we're good enough to win Europa because the teams that come down from the Champions League, like Sevilla and all that, I think at this moment in time, they're better than us. Excuse me. So, I mean, conference would be a nice trophy to try and win. At least we'd try and win something in Europe. That'd be a trophy that we could possibly win if we get into that European League. But I'm not holding my breath. But we'll move on to, what else has happened the last couple of days. Did mention Brighton. Brighton absolutely smashed Arsenal 3-0, and it's lovely to see. It's lovely to see how quick the Arsenal fan base is to disregard the bottle job name tag. Now, if Spurs were in Arsenal's position, you'd know everyone in the whole entire league and all the footballing world would call us bottle jobs. We bottled a league that we weren't in 15, 16 or 16, 17. I can't remember the Leicester League. We were told that we bottled that league when we weren't even first at any point in that season. Arsenal were top for I think 4 days or 4 match days. That they're the top 3 in bottled percentages of being at the top for the longest, and then not getting the trophy at the end of it. And it's lovely to see, and I love this this change of mentality from Arsenal fans to we're going to win the league. Look, you Mikel Arteta, and then all of a sudden it's we never thought we'd be here anyway. It's like, hang on, you were 8 points ahead with a game in hand, and now you're fucking 5 points behind. 5 points, I think they're behind, or 6 points, and City have a game in hand. It's laughable, and it goes to show the mentality of Pep and the Man City squad, and it just goes to show that they weren't ready. And what gets me is Arsenal have been great this season. There's no doubt about it. They have been one of the, if not the best looking team up until about 8 games ago. I honestly thought they were going to win the league. I thought this is it. The stars are going to align. Arteta's going to win them everything, but the fans is, and it goes for nearly every club. Like, I have a bunch of Liverpool mates, and they made me hate Liverpool at one point. Even when we went, I hated them when we played them in the Champions League final. And I always thought Liverpool. I wanted Liverpool to win the year that Stevie G slipped. I wanted them to win it because I thought they were a good club. Everyone that I knew were decent, fans, and then all of a sudden they became, too big for their boots. And Arsenal have done it this season. Their fans have done it. And you go into their fan channels and their accounts, and they're all saying, we never thought we'd be here. We challenged City. Hang on. United have had a better season. United have already won 1 trophy. They're in line to win a second one, and they're going to be in the same competition that you are in next season, unless they totally capitulate and then drop out, and Liverpool somehow, some way, take it. So for me, it's nice to sit back and look. They're a better team than us at the moment. Their club's going in a direction that I wish our club was going in. They're moving up. However, the fans are at fault. You can acknowledge the progression and the overachievement, but you can also sit back and go sucked in. Take that shit. This is what you guys get for bigging yourselves up. The amount of memes that are going to be out there. It's great to see. And the last bit of thing we're gonna quickly touch on is Maurizio Pochettino. I'm pretty sure is either agreed or is about to sign for Chelsea as their new manager. Now, I'm seeing a lot of stuff about, is Poch now a Judas because he went to Chelsea there? He called us our main rivals, He said he'd never go to Arsenal, but he's going to Chelsea, they're our rivals. Now, listen up, right? I can guarantee you right now, if Levy picked up the telephone or the mobile or if he sent a pigeon and Pochettino was about to dot the last little bit on his contract to sign as a manager and said, come manage Tottenham, he'd rip the contract up right in front of fucking Todd Bailey and he'd walk straight back. He'd walk to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to sign for us. He is Tottenham through and through. It does hurt the fact that he's going to Chelsea. He's going to go to Chelsea. And the thing is, though, he was twerking for us for years. He's been saying he wants to come back to us. And you know what? Look, I did want Nagelsmann over Poch because I felt like we couldn't go back to our ex until we won something, and then that meant the pressure of winning something with Poch was taken away, and the kind of mentality and the way he set us up to nearly win things wasn't going to be a factor. Really, it was going to be more of all right, we've won. Poch, come in, try and keep that trend going, build it in your eye. If he came now, all the pressure of getting in top four or winning a trophy for Tottenham, being the manager, the nearly manager that nearly got us there, it'd be too much. However, going to Chelsea does hurt. It does hurt, and the fact that they've got an owner that doesn't give a fuck about money, drops whatever he wants. It can go one of two ways. It'll be where Poch needs a long time, about 2 or 3 years, like he did with us, to get where he needs to go to win the league, to challenge for Champions League, all that sort of stuff. And I don't think Chelsea are going to give it to him. They look at Graham Potter. They got him all these players, and they just sacked him. And I think the same's going to go for Poch. I think they've got too many high-end superstars. What they need to do is bring some down-to-earth players in that aren't the best in their positions, but they listen to the manager. They understand their roles. They aren't too big for their boots. That's kind of like, for me, that's what Alex Ferguson had. He had these players that shouldn't have been in these teams. The likes of Anderson, Darren Fletcher, Johnny Evans. Like, they're good players. Don't get me wrong, they were good players, but they were the players that would do whatever they needed to do for the manager, and they knew they weren't that good, but the manager could trust them. And that's with Chelsea. They've got so many superstars. They don't have that one player that's quite average compared to everyone else, but he just works his ass off. Like, for me, I feel like Ben Davies is like that for us. Now, I'm not saying Ben Davies should be a player that we keep. I do think we need to move him on. But I will say, when he gets called upon, he's going to pull a 5 out of 10, a 6 out of 10 nearly every game, because he does what he knows his limits, and he plays to his limits every game. His limits may not be up here, but he plays to them every game, and that's what you need in title-winning teams. You look at Pep's team, and they got Laporte on the bench. They're playing Akanji when they've got Diaz, and they've got all these good players. But there's an odd play that they'll play. I mean, I can't think of anyone at the moment, but like, look at Jesus. Jesus used to play for him. He wasn't their top dog, but he knew his job. Now, I know he's a really good player. I think Jesus is a really good player. But, in that Man City team, he wasn't. He was probably, the middle to low range of talent compared to everybody else around him, like the De Bruyne's, the companies, I would say Foden's up there because his ceiling's quite high. Like that's where I feel like you need to have a team like that. And I don't think Todd Boehly's going to give it to Poch. I think he's going to try and give Poch the best of the best. And Poch is a manager that knows what type of player he needs. And if he gets who he wants, then I think Poch could do really well at Chelsea. I think at PSG they did the same thing as what Todd Boehly's done with Potter, is go get the big names, go get this flashy kind of player and put them all on big wages and just try and buy the league. PSG did that, and it's just too many celebrities and not enough actual footballers who just want to be there and play for the badge. So I think if Poch gets that at Chelsea, he's going to be successful. But I also think that we may be seeing Poch get sacked in 10 months, and then he's going to be twerking for Tottenham again. And all I want to say on this with Poch is if you're saying he's a Judas, he's not Sol Campbell. He was twerking for Tottenham for the last 2 years, and we didn't jump at the chance to take him. If we weren't going to get Nagelsmann, I wanted Poch. It looks like Nagelsmann's not going to happen, so we should have went for Poch. Now I'm hearing it's Xabi Alonso that's the front runner, because it's a step up from Bayer Leverkusen. I don't know if it's going to go well, but I think it's quite at this point in time, you need someone to steady the ship, and I think Poch can do that. And I think Poch can be the manager to steady the ship and then take us back to the top four, or at least get us playing football where we can actually go at teams and utilize players that we have. But, Kane and Son are in their 30s this year, or next year, I should say. So they're aging. So I don't know. We don't know what could have happened if Poch come, but he is going to Chelsea and it hurts. But before we finish up, I want to have a quick chat on what we have for the future content of the channel. So I want to put a call out to anyone who watches us that isn't a Tottenham fan. Next season, I want to do some, or we want to do some more content with other rival fans. It doesn't matter if you support, Burnley that are coming up, if you support United. We're trying to stray away from the big six kind of thing, because everyone does that. We want to hear from the teams that don't have enough, don't have big channels, or and it doesn't have to be channels. It can be anyone, any fan that wants to jump on and have their say about their team when Tottenham plays them, or when Tottenham has played them. And we want to start doing content like that. We want to start bringing you guys involved, getting involved with us a bit more, and we want to be more active in our social medias. It's our first year, first season doing this kind of stuff. I'm very new to it. We're all very new to it. There's a lot of hiccups we've had along the way, but for everyone that's subscribed and hung with us this year, we really appreciate you guys. Appreciate your comments, the love that you give, all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to try and make it big next year. For us, I'm more of the technical side of things, but the boys, that come on, Delane, Brad, we haven't seen Nano Lee in a while, but those guys hopefully, stay on next year, and we'll bring some good content for you guys. But if you're watching this and you got any ideas of what you think that we could do, or that you want to be involved with, please don't hesitate to comment. If you don't want to comment down and put yourself out there, send us an email at our Gmail. Our Gmail is in the links in the socials, and on our About page on YouTube. Just hit us up, let us know, and yeah. So thanks, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, stay Spursy.